All right. Hi, my name is Brad Crafton. I work for the Mississippi Mineral Resources Institute, Oxford, Mississippi, located at the University of Mississippi. Biodiesel is a small aspect of our work there. We primarily work on methane hydrate research. I'm the only one there that's not a geologist or a geophysicist. I was brought in, well, back up, give you a little bit of a background. I started like pretty much everybody else with the apple seed processor in my garage. Wanting to make some, I started doing this when it was way more expensive to make bio than it was to buy pump stuff. I just thought it was interesting. I went to a workshop at California State University when I was out there on how to make diesel fuel out of old fryer grease. I thought, that's great, man. Wait till I get back to Mississippi. We got 2 deep fryers in every chevron. Oh, yeah, totally. I said, this is great. I'm going to start making some diesel fuel. I got back home and, got busy with school. I was doing my undergraduate in anthropology. When I got done with that, I had a promising career as a fry cook in a catfish house, anthropology. Not a lot of demand. I didn't want to travel and be a shopping bomb. So I started, toting those jugs of grease up to the renderer's barrel. It made me think about that weekend when I was in California. It's all about how you can turn this into diesel fuel. So I just started stockpiling the junk in my garage, looking for old water heaters, kind of putting everything together. Started making the fuel, doing it, using it a good bit. And one day I happened to be sitting in the library, and this girl that I knew, I'd seen her out in the round, stopped by, was talking to me. And to be honest, I was just talking to a pretty girl. She said, "What are you doing?" So I'm researching chemical engineering. She said, told her why, biodiesel. She said, "My father's interested in that. He's head of a research institute. You got to meet him." So I go and meet this guy. He's one of those people, 1 in a million. He passed away. He was killed last Tuesday. Won't dwell on that, but it was quite a loss to us. His name was Dr. James Robert Woolsey. And he took a leap of faith, gave me a 6-month temporary employment, and a diesel van that had been used down in Belize, and they kind of chalked up to was going to have mechanical issues and was disposable. And gave me 6 months, a little bit of a budget, a little bit of pay in this van, and a small corner in the back of a lift bay they used to do, engine oil changes and stuff on the machinery. Wasn't even totally enclosed. And said, "Go and see what you can do." Started there with my apple seed, just doing stock homebrewing, just like anybody else say, "Hey, Earl Mark's book," doing that type of thing, and started going good. They were realizing the van wasn't running too bad. Kept going. Everybody's making fun of me. Called chicken neck fuel. So don't get low in the van, you're gonna get chicken neck caught in there. Mississippi, trying to do something alternative or different that's out of the box, you're gonna get that a lot. But after 6 months, everything was going good, so he gave me another 6-month temporary employment. It was going pretty good. About that time, they realized it was winter and they were feeling bad for me. I was melting a few tanks trying to use a space heater to get my grease to liquid so I could get it into the apple seed. So they got a shipping container for me, leveled it up. We finished out the inside of it, put wiring, compressed air to it, that type of thing, lights. Moved the apple seed in there. More wash tanks. Then it was great. Now I can have several batches going washing. I was happy about that. And eventually, I came dang close to ASTM spec out of my apple seed. I was having trouble with my water. About 1,900 parts per million. That's a big stumbling block in the beginning. Got going with it, more and more. Started getting my water down. And one time, I was running my ASTM stuff at another university, Mississippi State University. They let me run them for free. One time I actually hit ASTM spec out of my apple seed, got some recognition. I was processing 3 times. I had taken, instead of just 2 times, I was tearing. I caught the triple scrub, hitting it with 130 milliliters per liter of your methanol to waste oil in the beginning and drawing off glycerin 3 times. And it's very labor intensive and time intensive, but I was able to make quality fuel out of an apple seed. And about that time, they were asking me, maybe we got some money for you. You want to get something different. And that was just about 8-9 months ago. I got a BioPro, started running it. Have, quality of the fuel went up. I'm running just as Lyle was outlining earlier. I'm basically just pouring through a filter mesh screen. I did have one fabricated for me by the Master Carl down to 60 micron stainless steel. And I put it on top of the entry port of the BioPro, and I take my grease, pour it in there, don't pour in the stuff in the very bottom, that type of thing. And dewater my BioPro, and I run batch reactions still right now. That's how I'm doing it. I'll be doing that when I get back. Running my fuel more and more. We started using more trucks that will let me put it in more vehicles than just the van they consider disposable. Started running in salamander blast heaters in the shop. That's great. They normally just run on kerosene. Good quality bio runs in those nice. Keep the shop warm for the guys doing welding work and stuff in the winter. Running a...
Did you have to modify those salamanders?
This one I did not at all. I completely expected to, and I expected it to die, but good, clean, well-washed bio that's been dry does nicely.
What brand is it?
It's orange and black. If you'll give me your email, I'll get you the model number specifically and email it to you. And I actually started running it in a oil-burning steam cleaning pressure washer. Runs nice, clogged a filter or two, but those things clog filters on regular pump diesel. Not a big deal. Then we got called up. I got a lucky break. The chancellor, without consulting anyone else at the university, signed effectively what's a Kyoto protocol for universities, a green initiative, to across the board cut the air emissions by something on the order of 50%, and basically just signed it, put it in the newspaper, and didn't even tell any department heads. Basically shoved it down the throat. He must be about to retire. So instantly the biodiesel kid that makes the chicken neck fuel became valuable. And I got called up by Landscape Services. The Landscape Services in my university, I live in one of the wonderful universities that puts way more money in maintaining the sod and the football field than they do on anything academic. It's all about football and how pretty it looks. So landscaping is a very big deal. They have a lot of budget. They use zero turning radius mowers. They have the 3-cylinder Kubota motors in them, which are essentially nice little tractor motors. They got some New Holland tractors they run. And they said, we want to give you one of these mowers to run. And they picked out one that, luckily, by the grace of the way things tend to work out, the mechanic for Landscape Services is a wonderful mechanic. He was a retired GM serviceman, certified diesel, gas, and he was chomping at the bit to run bio, had no apprehension, understood everything about it, had researched it, and wanted to go with it. And that's the biggest thing, having a mechanic in your corner. People will find ways to gripe about with alternatives. So Mr. Hodge was his name. He assigned me the nicest mower they had, brand new one, which was lucky because, we all know a lot of biodiesel gripes are actually issues with the vehicle that have nothing to do with bio. It's old, ill-maintained vehicle. Started running great. Everything was going wonderful. They put it in the paper, lots of publicity. I get a call up, said they want to bump it up to 3 mowers. Currently, that's where I'm at now, running batch reactions. My BioPro got 3 of these mowers going. I am going to, we've got one tractor, one New Holland. We don't use many of the big tractors there on campus. Essentially, they're zero turning radius motors and trucks, and the trucks are largely gas burners. We got diesel garbage truck. They're wanting me to start using it as 07 Mac. I'm doing, if anybody knows about that, talk to me later. I'm researching the fuel delivery system on it, see what the pressure is.
You run it Mac?
Okay, at what blend?
100%.
100%, okay, good.
What blend are you using and everything else, 100%?
In the motor,
Just everything?
some of the trucks, like we have Duramax pickup truck that I use B20 in because literally the fuel injection with it, it's got the high pressure ceramic nozzles and all that. And plus the guys that shop that use that truck are adamantly against bio and looking for something to gripe about. So I keep it at B20 just to, keep things on an even keel. But the little Kubota diesels and the mowers, they run like a champion. Run smoother, better, they love it. And I get to drive to work every day and I see them out cutting grass. They got these big placards stuck to the side. These mowers are running on recycled biodiesel from waste products, and makes me feel nice. Currently, they want to expand to have every mower on campus running on B100 next summer. So I'm going to be building a bigger processor or a parallel processor running both at the same time. Investigating Graham-Laming's eco-processor for, I want to be real miserly with my methanol because I feel that's a smart, efficient production smarter than recovery. You don't have to burn any electricity, heating anything, less apparatus, less work, and you get away from water washing, which is something I believe nothing sustainable can be built on commodities or heavy intensive use of water. We need to be independent of water washing, and we need to be independent of commodities. So that's where I'm at. And I have more waste fryer grease than I can imagine. I've gotten about half a dozen people in town that I've helped get their vehicles running on bio, building processors, running apple seeds. I got a 15-year-old kid in the town next to me. His first truck he bought was a Dodge Cummins with inline 6, 92 model, and he's never run anything but bio. 15. Yeah.
Ship me some of that grease, would you? The renderers up here are paying for it.
Of course, you're making a fair amount of biodiesel.
Mhm.
What about your glycerin and your wash water?
Waste oil burners in the shop that makes keys and things such as that. They take it from me. I addressed it with the methanol issue, but they're mixing it with a large amount of automatic transmission fluid and a large amount of waste motor oil. They stockpile it in large drums and they burn it in these waste oil heaters to comfort heat the shop for the workers. It's about a 8,000 square foot shop. They use quite a bit.
Did you know that you can get a 50-cent per gallon credit from the government for using that glycerin in your oil?
We're a tax-free entity.
You can still it's not
Okay.
taxed.
Oh, well, I'll see you afterwards about that. And as far as the wash water, let me finish Franklin's question here. We have a wonderful facility, my university, that is the Southeast Station for Wetlands Ecological Research, let me get that right, that is completely self-sufficient on their wastewater. They have a gray water runoff system with bioremediation for all the gray water that comes out of the facility. It was so over-engineered, the bottom of it's dry, nothing comes out. Outside of my shipping container, I set up some of my stands, used to be for my wash tanks. I have the output for the BioPro, take the dirty wash water, put it in one of those drums, and what I do is load it up with a hydraulic lift bed, put it there, take it a mile down the road to this bioremediation gray water runoff, put it right in, hasn't killed the cattails or anything. Your standard gray water runoff will handle it. So you were talking
When
about...
do I talk tomorrow?
I will. I'll be
That'd
there.
be awesome.
So essentially my waste products are co-products. Well, the wash water is a waste product. Dealing with that with gray water runoff, I was worried the methanol would kill some plants growing in it. It has not yet. Much as the gentleman from Hudson Valley Bio, where he's distributing his, he's kind of doing what I'm doing, but it's less controlled. I haven't seen any ill effects.
But methanol, once it's released into the atmosphere, very quickly breaks down into water and carbon dioxide.
That's what a chemical engineer informed me of. I was worried about it.
You don't have to burn it to get that. It just spontaneously does it.
That's amazing.
Is there, do you know if there's any possibility that there could be latent problems with the disposal of that material over time? I mean, the grass isn't brown now, but could there be something building up in the soil that's going to be a problem in the future?
It could, and we are going to analyze that. That's what the, part of the research is. I figure after, I just started doing that, year ago. I figure here at the end of the summer, I'm going to go out and pull core samples from the soil, have them analyzed, take samples of the vegetative matter that is growing in that, have it all analyzed. We have those facilities at the university, and that's what it's all about. And I will inform everyone if I find anything.
Just to get a sense, what's your volume now?
I run about 100 gallons of B100 a week. I run 2 batches a week in the BioPro. That fits real nicely with my work schedule. And that's kept everything going so far. But once I get beyond 3 mowers and what I'm using at my shop, right now every drop's being used. Don't have anything left, and people are asking for more. So that's why I'm going to have to expand over the winter for next spring's production.
What has been your experience on the percentage of bad batches, and how do you handle humidity?
The water It's the bane of biodiesel. The hydroscopic property of the oil, it will just absorb it and uptake it out of the air. Mississippi, I mean, it's like walking around in the produce section with the misters on. What I do is, I was just settling and various things like that. I tried various ways of doing it, of dewatering that weren't good enough. And I couldn't get my finished product fuel below 1,900 parts per million of water in my finished bio, even running through your water blocker, marine grade filters and such as that. So what I do now is just dewater in the BioPro for 6 hours time, and similar to as Lyle described, overfill, dewater in my BioPro, let it settle for about an hour, then I pull off the bottom to the proper level in the BioPro, and my water I think last time I had tested I was at 327 parts per million.
So you don't heat the oil or do anything with it before you put it in, is that what you're saying?
No, well, the BioPro itself has an agitating arm and a heating element that can be run manually through the switches in the non-automated mode. I use that, and I don't like to do things multiple times that require electricity that comes from coal burn power plants. So I don't do anything real big and heavy to it beforehand. I'll do the cold filtering, as many people do. You set your cubies, you let them get good and cold. The small stuff goes to the bottom. Save that, relegate it for the August heat wave usage when you can get usage of that.
You said you get 327 ppm moisture. You're talking about on your feedstock or on your finished product?
Finished product.
So, but what does that have to do with the settling that you do in the BioPro? I mean, you're still water washing, right? So you're still adding moisture after the reaction, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So the moisture content has more to do with your dry system rather than the settling that you're doing pre-reaction, no?
Yes, you're right. But I feel that I get a more complete reaction if I get the water down as little as possible before I react. I understand that adding the water, and I really do not like water washing, and I'm working quickly to get away from that. In addition to looking at the ground lamin, I built bench test models of ion exchange towers running Amberlite BD10 dry, and with successful results, and I'm weighing the economics of those two choices.
But you get 327 using water washing and drying the fuel?
Yes.
Without ion exchange, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And it may have been fluke.
Well, that means very well. What was but you think it was also related to a more complete reaction because you got more moisture out and had lower soap content?
Yes. I think that the quality of your finished product, even though you're adding water at one step, if you are just as diligent as possible about doing every step as efficiently as good as possible, then it makes your finished product come out better. Like I said, right now I only spot check every once in a while with the finished fuel runner to the ASTM lab because I've had such good results.
What's your total moisture?
I can't remember offhand. I know I should, but it's below the spec of biodiesel ASTM.
You said you were testing the Purolite and
Amberlite.
And Amberlite. You're trying to
No, I did not mention Purolite. I have not tested it. I've only tested Amberlite. I contacted a few of the manufacturers, talked to them about it. I kind of liked the Amberlite. I'd been in a biodiesel plant that was using it, and that's the only one I've tested thus far.
So you picked that one to test only because of the experience you had with the manufacturer?
No, I picked it only. I called several people to ask for free samples, and everyone's to send it. I realize any scientific process, you need to test the whole array and try out all the available, at least 3 or so. Like I said, I'm just in the beginning stages of thinking about ion exchange. I haven't gone to that stage yet. I'm just using the BioPro as it's manufactured and constructed to use.
So when you're, can we get the information from your test when you're done?
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be the only person trying to test these processes.
I had some ChemE senior design students. They actually built the ion tower and they ran it. And they got a paper they wrote about it that I have on my computer back in my office that that I can send you via email.
I guess I have 2 questions. One is, how many hours of work are you putting in for it? What percentage of your total work is it, if not all of it? And then also, do you have any kind of communication with the outside world about what you're doing, to the website or a blog or a newsletter or anything that to kind of get any of this information out there?
No, actually I don't. As I said before, I'm just not a computer type person. I've never even thought, I wouldn't know how to operate a blog or any or a website or anything. That's just My communication with the outside world is word of mouth directly with Mississippians around me who ask me about biodiesel, the farmers who call me on the phone, the people that show up at my office, the people that come to me talking about problems with snake oil products such as DSE or solvent thinning issues, or they're making biodiesel and all they're doing is filtering and mixing it with kerosene or something such as that. That's my primary communication, is word of mouth. And people who contact me, people I meet. This is my first time of coming and kind of involving myself in the larger biodiesel small batch community beyond the little info pop website that I'm a member of.
And then what about how much time? Is this your full-time job?
Yes. In the beginning it was, when I was being very laborious with my apple seed, but now that I have more time freed up, it's probably a third of my job. The other third of it is educational outreach, and the other third is I'm starting to pick up some duties on the offshore vessel, going out doing work with methane hydrate projects.
What happened to the pretty girl?
She actually is dating one of my best friends. That's all right. I have a wonderful woman of my own that I met certainly after that is the apple of my eye. The only one for me. She's as much of a gearhead as me. She works on gas burners, 240 Datsuns, MR2, stuff like that. I'm the diesel guy. I got the old Mercedes, the old Volkswagen, junk like that.
Now, when you're talking methyl hydrate, you're talking the frozen methane on the bottom?
Exactly, sir.
Cool.
That's what's going to keep these lights on when
Oh,
the
yeah.
on.
Oh, yeah.
If I understand what you're saying, if your experience has been, if you follow the procedure as precisely as you possibly can, from start to finish, you have a very high success rate. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I have not had any problems with low-grade fuel coming out of the BioPro that were related to the tool and not the user. I have made a bad batch or two in the beginning. It was because that I did not de-water with it. I was just pouring in and going with it. I was used to the less agitated properties of apple seed, the old $30 pipe, Harbor Freight pump, and then nursing it through water washing with very light water washing properties. The aggressive agitation of the BioPro requires you to get your water down real low on your feedstock before you go.
And that's what you do, the 6-hour process. That's where you use the BioPro for 6 hours. So does that add 6 hours to the entire process?
Yes, it does.
So
And more than 6 hours, because I wait about an hour to see if there's any particles in suspension that may fall out. If there's particulate matter, I get off the bottom, any water, that type of thing.
So it'll be 30 hours instead of 24.
Yes, sir. And that's if you're on top of it when you make a transition at every time. If you have something else going, if you happen to be away from it, you can't come back and check on it because you have to manually pull the glycerin out and you have to start the wash cycle of the BioPro. It doesn't do that automatically. There is that user interface at 24 hours into the process. It's very minimal though. It's a very nice, well-performing unit. The only problem that I've had out of it, other than when I just wasn't dewatering my feedstock enough, is with the power supply at my very rural location. If it blinks, the PLC loses power, it resets back to the very beginning of the cycle, and you come back and you've got something that's midway through, and you have very little idea of knowing where or in the process something went wrong.
Well, you put your gas in there,
Yeah,
that'll solve that.
yeah, 15 peak amp UPS, pretty high price. We are a state-funded research institute, and DOE's sending most of their methane hydrate money to studying up in the Arctic, so funds aren't as prevalent as I would like for them to be.
You can't pull some funding from all the money you're saving now.
Right.
Yes.
Well, some of that's negated by my salary and my benefits package.
If you had this enough back, please actually started doing a bunch of diesel.
Yeah. Well, you'd be amazed how grindingly slow things like that are with public institutions.
You need a better argument.
Yeah, I do. Maybe y'all come on with me.
Well, they paid for the BioPro, you did it, they would pay for the power supply for
You
it.
should go to your landscaping people and say, hey, I need a UPS. I guarantee they'll maybe show up for you.
That's a dang good idea, because they're the ones with the budget.
Right. I mean,
They're the ones with the budget. They're buying my methanol now.
Or selling diesel.
They're buying your methanol for you?
Yeah, they're providing my methanol.
Cool.
Yeah.
They can buy your budget.
So school Fridays are supplying all your feedstock?
No, I get most of my feedstock from local restaurants. I find that the quality on campus,
Really?
yeah.
This is what they're feeding their students.
The waste oil that I got from the school was absolutely hard. I get some good stuff from the sorority houses, and I get some real good stuff from a few of the fraternity houses, but I get most of my high quality, best stuff from independently owned and operated catfish houses and barbecue places.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because the barbecue sandwich doesn't need to be deep fried. They're pretty much just frying French fries and fried pies.
And they're not putting all the drippings in there too?
No.
That's the problem I have with barbecue.
Well, I got a real good understanding with them. There's a woman that runs the whole kitchen, and she is wonderfully clean and meticulous, and I explained to her what I'm doing, and she's my kind of oil rooster over there. She keeps it real nice. And the catfish places use the shortening shuttles, like was described earlier in another presentation. There are wonderful apparatuses that roll beneath the downspout of the grease. They go down, it has a sump. It's got a low point sump that's beneath the paper filter, and it pulls it through their recyclables. And they use that to filter it between changes. They'll filter it every day and change every 4 days. When they actually remove the oil from the fryer, they use that machine, so when I get it, it's filtered and partially dewatered, because the little paper, the felt filter in it picks up water in addition to particulate matter. Then they put it back in the cubies for me, they put it in the shed, and I collect it the next day.
So you don't have an actual collection vehicle with a pump and all that stuff, we just put it in our cubies?
Exactly. I've got a couple of businesses that are pretty adamant about using the barrels, and I made them barrels with nice little flip-top lids, secured them nicely and that type of thing. And I have a pickup truck that I use, and I just use your standard Northern Tool oil transfer pump, and I got another barrel in the back end of the pickup truck to pump over in the
So you're not swapping barrels, you're pumping.
I'm pumping. I swapped the barrel once.
Heavy, aren't they?
I'm not the biggest guy, if you can't tell. But it's
You have
the,
plenty of supply for next year as well, or you're gonna have to increase the number of?
I have to increase my number of restaurants. And I think I'll be real picky. I'm even more picky than some. I mean, I only get oil that titrates like around 2 or less. You know, it's not because the BioPro has tolerances with the sulfuric acid that will accommodate more than that. But I just don't like handling nasty stuff.
What are your goals in being your university? What are your goals in making this biodiesel? Just to operate your machinery, or to further the cause, teach people what you've learned?
Primarily to have every drop of diesel on campus that's possible being biodiesel and educational outreach. Anybody else?
Are you doing any work with alternative feedstocks, vegetative feedstocks?
Actually, I am. I am looking at the same southeastern wetlands facility where they have the gray water runoff. They have about 200 ponds that were built and designed for ichthyological research that no longer is getting funding. And I'm looking into open pond algae cultivation. I'm just waiting for the engineering goals and stumbling blocks that I'm not qualified to address are addressed. Other than that, I've looked at some alternative oilseed crops, cranberry, your mustards that can be grown alternatively in the off-season that aren't typical commodities and things.
Chinese towel, have you looked at that?
No, I haven't actually.
What's that?
Chinese towel?
Oh, tallow.
I've got so much deep fryer grease that that's pretty much what it's basing the program off of, and everybody at the university seems to like it being a waste product drive thing, not something that requires agricultural waste. Now, I think until we run into shortages of deep fryer grease, that'll become an issue.
See, we're running into that up here already.
Yeah.
The renderers are paying for grease now. 8 months ago, it was free.
Mm.
They were charging, actually, to pick up your grease. You could go to the restaurant and say, I'll pick it up for free. They'd say, yes!
See, I'm still getting that down in the south.
Now they're getting paid for the grease. It's making the small producer have a really tough time. That's one reason why I'm interested in oilseed.
Well, if any of you have any suggestions, I'd love to talk to you about later, because we have a wonderful alternative agricultural process run by a man named Dr. Charles Durant, who's very experienced, done a lot of work in alternative agriculture. He's working with many different things. It's hard to keep up with all that he's growing. And he is the go-to man for any type of alternative crop. And he has actually been asking me about that, but I've just, the schedule hasn't permitted as far to put the actual time needed for that type of thing, largely because it's during the warm months when everybody's wanting biodiesel a good bit.
Gotcha.
Have you ever experimented with the methylates, like sodium methylate?
I have not. I've seen facilities that have done that, but right now I'm just doing your straight methanol and KOH. Well, there you go. We need to get on yours. All right. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful.